Okay, Tuesday night here in the Source Media headquarters, and we're getting ready to go coast to coast with Chris Simmons and Michael Lichter. So good for you guys to drop in on us. The crowd is piling up. Keith Kornoff, Walter Bednarski, Nancy Weems in the house. Our associate producer, Mr. Rob Nussbaum, watching over us with a stern eye, I'm sure. Hey man, this is Chris from Cycle Source Magazine. I'm going to be your engineer this evening. Please remember to hit the like and share button. Help us get this program out all across the land. Let your friends and neighbors know that we're going live with Coast to Coast in just 3 minutes. Stick around. Faces there, new names up on the board. Ken Benson checking in from Naples, Florida. Good to see you here, man. Dennis Stolber, Big D, Marengo, Illinois. As always, good to see you. Nancy Keener listening from Maryland. Mike Draco. Moses, good to see you, man. Very good show coming up tonight. Now you guys are going to be into it. 2 outstanding guests, as always. Some killer talk with our host, Cris and Michael. Get ready. We're going live in 2 minutes. Dothan, Alabama. We're down by our brother Barry Wardlaw down there, making them killer panheads. Alberta, Canada in the house. Very nice. Fort Wayne, Indiana. Jeremy Valentine. Good to see you. 2 minutes. We're under the 2 minute mark till we go live with another episode of Coast to Coast. Stick around. You know, I see you guys putting up the hey, we shared it, but notification, and thank you so much for that. That makes all the difference in the world. You know, as they clamp down on the algorithms on social media, and still have us clamp down for social distancing and less events. You know, this is a good way for us all to stay together. And we appreciate you guys helping us keep things going for the community and keep Two Wheel Entertainment alive through all these hard times. It's awesome. We appreciate your support. We appreciate everybody over at Chopper Town that's helping these programs and so many good programs. If you guys are into Two Wheel Entertainment, you want to head over to the Chopper Town Facebook page. Check them out. They got shorts and longs, documentaries, good stuff over at Chopper Town. It looks like we're down under the 30-second mark, so I guess we're going to get this one out of the stable and up on the racetrack. It's time to go live with this episode of Coast to Coast. Here we go.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coast Tuesday night. Hope your week was well. Mine was pretty interesting. Not much happening as usual, but I really wanted to thank everyone for tuning into our show. I think this is our 29th show. So let me thank you so much. Thanks to Chris and Heather and everybody at Cycle Source Media. The show's about women in motorcycling. We feature these most interesting women, people from all walks of motorcycling life, young, old, dirt bikes, road bikes, anything in between. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you thanks and it's so fun to do the show. I'm so excited. Anyway, tonight, let's bring in my co-host, Michael Lichter from Boulder, Colorado. Here we go.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
Hi
All right,
there.
tell us how fast you went skiing today. You showed me.
56 miles an hour.
Oh my God.
So much
It's
fun.
insane. I would be scared, dude.
So much fun. Hey,
That
it
is
gets me
cool.
outside. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what can I say? Others, I'm stuck
Yeah.
at the computer editing pictures and working on the website, all that
Right.
stuff. But it's
Hey,
great.
I have to tell you, I saw a couple whales yesterday. It was
Wow.
crazy. Yeah. Driving to the grocery store, usually I'm not really going anywhere special.
Just while you're driving to the grocery store, you see whales.
Yeah,
That's
I
pretty
saw a
cool.
whale. And I saw him out my bathroom window too once. That was kind of interesting, but that's another story. Anyway, Rob said to ask the tough questions tonight, so we're gonna have to ask some tough questions. But anyway, we had a great week. Good guests, wonderful stuff going on in the world, crazy stuff going on in the world too. And what else is going on in your world?
Well,
I know we had some sad news
one
too.
thing
I'm sorry about
I
that.
also want to welcome all our regular guests. There's so many coming back. Just
Oh,
starting
yeah.
to look at the comments that are just rolling in. But we also had last week at the very end of the show, like literally after we signed off, there were still some people making comments. And Deanne Cunningham, I think I mentioned that she was from Australia and she had chimed in.
Right.
But also there was a second guy, David Hughes. So I want to welcome the fact that another person from Australia was tuning in. I don't know if they'll be back tonight, but I did want to thank them anyway for doing that. And then we did just
Right.
in pre-show with our producer, Chris Callan, got some really sad news that Don Hotop, he's a master custom bike builder, passed away yesterday. And I've known Don for 40 years and shot many of his bikes. He's made trips out to Colorado just for me to shoot the bikes and him in the studio. And a big loss in really like custom bike history. He's
our love to his family and friends for sure.
His wife Tarina, and also his extended,
Mm-hmm.
of course, his big hamster family that he was so much a part of as well for many, many years. So that's sad news. It's another one. It was not related to COVID, but boy, it seems like this last year's been tough. Huh? We lost a lot of people.
Yeah, it sure is. That's
But
the way it
on that
goes.
note, let's focus on our show, which is always uplifting and inspiring. At least I believe so. And our guests are that. That's what we look for, is inspiring and motivating guests. And so let's start by bringing in our first guest.
I have to say though, we talked about this before. We've been doing these. We're kind of been hung up on the artists, the painters, the tattoo people.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just been we didn't really plan it, but we're kind of laughing at ourselves about it the other day. But they're just such wonderful people, and I think maybe it's good to do a couple weeks of that, and then we'll get into some other stuff as the month goes on here into March coming up next month.
Funny enough, our guest next week, Audrey Cabral, she's
Right.
she's actually stated that she doesn't have an artistic bone in her body, which I do not believe, because I think her life is full of art. I think she has a very artistic life. But anyway, we'll see that. But she is not by definition an artist. So at least we'll be going another direction next week.
Okay, let's bring our first guest in. Go ahead.
Right.
You introduce JoAnn. JoAnn Bortles, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
I have to say, it's so great to connect with you again. I hadn't seen you in many years. I mean, our paths have not crossed. I'm doing one thing, you're doing something else, but it's so great to have you on, and thanks. It's so exciting.
Well, thank you for having me on. I've been watching the show, and this is really awesome for me.
Well, thanks. I know that Michael's probably known you longer. I don't know. We didn't really talk about this, but how did you meet JoAnn?
I thought we met in the 80s, but JoAnn, I think you said, what was it, around 1990? When did we meet?
1998.
That's much later than I thought.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah, we met at the Columbus Easy Riders Finals.
And we may have met in Charlotte, though, at the show there. Weren't you in Charlotte prior to that?
Yeah, I was in Charlotte. I was
there.
I might have met you there. It was a long time ago.
For those of you who don't know JoAnn, she's an amazing painter. And well, your career started out with art. So tell us how you started, I guess, art before motorcycles, kind of. Is that how it worked for you?
Well, I was always an artist and took art lessons ever since I was like a little kid. but I was always a gearhead. I mean, I didn't have dolls. I had Matchbox cars.
Oh, me
So
too. I love Matchbox cars. That's all I wanted was Matchbox cars.
I still
That
have the
was-
Matchbox cars.
but,
Sorry to interrupt you there, but boy, that just came right to my heart there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just I don't know. I was just always drawn to motorcycles, and it just seemed to be natural that someday I would get involved with motorcycles and I'd be painting them.
That's
Yeah, but
awesome.
I mean, going to art school at Parsons, that's not some easy task to get into.
Yeah, tell us
Now,
about how you got into.
Parsons-
Tell us
That's
the
a
story
heavy
how you
hitting
got
art
into.
school.
Yeah, tell us the story.
Parsons was kind of a challenge. I mean, I a month before my interview, my portfolio, my studio was in my parents' garage. My portfolio had burned up because the garage had burned down. And so I
Jeez.
lost all my art a month before I was supposed to go for my interview. And so I did this oil painting of a race car. And I had a sketchbook. And so I go into New York City with my, like the cheapest portfolio case I could find, my sketch pad, my one lowly painting, and I'm sitting there in the interview room. And there's, all these, kids and dressed very nicely with these beautiful stuffed portfolio cases. And they're all kind of like looking at me like, oh, yeah, right, you're going to get in here. And out of that group that I was in, I was the only one that got in. I got in on a sketch pad and
Wow.
one painting.
We have the picture of that painting, by the way. I think it's the third one on our queue tonight, Chris. If you want to show that painting, and I just love the color. I love the whole. I can see how you got him. That is so cool. That is really cool. Yeah,
That's
hand on the
awesome.
steering
And
wheel.
I know you mentioned that you want to get back to more painting on canvas as well, which we're all looking forward to.
I know.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see.
there's just it's just such a great way to connect with the subject when you're painting, and you can just really relay your passion. And it's something that I've gotten away from over the years, and I really want to get back to it. Cars and motorcycles, and we'll see what happens this year. Hopefully it'll happen.
Well, let's bring up the next couple of images.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Because
The first
how do you
picture
go
we have to
from?
show.
Not even. We're going to come back to that. Let's go to number 4. So you see where she went from the oil painting. Like, how do you go from Parsons and that oil painting to these next couple of magazines?
Yeah.
I mean, that
Well,
does
her on
not
the
look
cover.
like work from Parsons, but anyway.
That's the bikes. Yeah, there she is, the Queen of Flame. I love that picture of you.
But seeing that big range from the oil painting to these covers with your bikes on them and you on them, let us then go back to the beginning and show people how you really paved the way for some younger women that are entering the field now. Because this first picture, which what do we call it? That's our big hair shot, right?
Yeah, we have to show this because Marilyn's watching. Marilyn Stump is watching tonight. Marilyn, you're not the only one who had the big hair. Okay.
Right. Marilyn
Here's
started
JoAnn.
this trend, though.
Look at that car, though. That's a nice car.
That was my natural hair. That's what it did. That's not any kind of curling or hairspray. It's just,
wow.
I mean, this is, I have to iron this to get it to look like this. But
Wow.
what happened was I did my freshman year at Parsons, and my dad was a disabled World War II vet, and his war injury was starting to bother him. And so after my freshman year, I had to quit school, and I moved back home, and I got a job at a local factory working second shift. And one of my high school buddies was working there, and he's teasing me one night, and he's like, yeah, look at the hotshot artist down here grubbing with the grubs. You're such a hotshot artist. Why don't you paint my bike tank? And I had an airbrush, so I said, sure. I did the cover of the second Molly Hatchet album on there, and I was done with it. All I had to do was clear coat it. It came out great. And then one night at work, he's teasing a friend of mine, and he said some really unkind things about her. And I said, well, take it back. And he said, no, I ain't going to take it back. It's true. And so I said, I'm going to buff that mural off your tank. And he says, no, you're not. It's too good. So got up the next morning, went out to the garage and squirted the rubbing compound on it, buffed the mural off the tank. He lived around the corner from me, drove over to his house, drove up his sidewalk, ran into his front steps, And he comes running out of the house like, what the hell? And I threw the tank at him. I said, there's your effing bike tank. And everybody in town was talking about it. Crazy Horse threw Johnny B's tank at him.
Can I get an amen?
And
Go, girl.
so next thing I know, guys, people are wanting me to, guys are saying, hey, paint my bike tank. And that was how it started.
And yeah, be nice to you after that. Yeah. Hey,
Wow.
respect.
When was this second photo taken? Has a little psychedelic edge to it, that carpet
yeah.
under you there.
That's 1994. That was at the Rat's Hole show in Daytona. Man, I
The
rocked
Rat's
them
Hole
purple
was the
boots.
Rat's Hole, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's definitely a Daytona
Yeah.
look. Mm-hmm.
That was the safari bike. I did that for a client in New York.
See, I think I probably met you and photographed you back then in Daytona.
Probably.
Probably. I'll
I
have to go
just-
back to the old pictures.
I think that's probably when I met you around then too.
But
Maybe
JoAnn,
earlier.
you started, you work on cars, you do welding and what is it? Also plasma cutting and all sorts of stuff in the shop. Where did you learn all those skills? I mean, how did
Well,
you
I
go
was
from starting to paint your
actually- I
first
was-
mural to really being able to work on cars and bikes, hot rods and everything?
Well, I was actually doing fabricating and welding before I was painting. In high school, I was like the best welder fabricator in my school. So all the guys would bring me their broken car and bike parts to fix.
Oh.
And so I had been doing that. Like I started doing that when I was like 16.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, I
So
was
you,
just
you never
making-
went to school for it then?
No. Well, in high school, we had
Or
a
shop
really
class.
good shop classes in high school. I took welding and metal machining, and I couldn't take auto mechanics because they said that they had to save those classes for the guys.
Oh,
Really?
geez, see, that's, oh my gosh. But at least they
Wow.
had those classes because now they don't have any of that kind of stuff in school. I mean, we had home ec. My brother took cooking. He was burning the house down with cookies. I took a printing class. I was the only female, but I know what you're talking about. At least they had those classes. But yeah, can you imagine not being able to get a class because you're a female? Really?
Well,
Oh,
you know, being here in Colorado, I think
Mhm.
mountains and snow, and a snowplow analogy isn't bad here because you're like that big snowplow that cleared the road for everybody behind you. Because from what I understand, there weren't very many women painting
I was gonna say,
motorcycles or cars at the time. Why don't you tell us about that?
yeah.
Well, you know, people would say that it must have been hard for me because I was a female back then, but it was really kind of an advantage because I'd go walking into these bike shops and I was like, 105 pounds with the big hair and my little ankle boots. And I'd go walking in there with a bike tank and a photo album. And these guys were just blown away. They're like, who the hell is this girl just walking in here? And this is back when bike shops were like super hardcore. And they're like, yeah, you got guts. I'll give you a shot.
Right.
And that's how it started. They just I knew that if I got one paint job from a shop, I knew they would give me more work, and that's what happened.
So let's run through some of these photos
Yeah.
because we got
And
a
then
bunch of your work here, and
Hey,
we do have
guys.
another guest. So let's
Hang
run
on
through
for
some-
1 second. I'm compelled to do this because everyone's talking about the big hair from that time period. Did you guys get a load of this camera?
Oh yeah.
Look at
That's
the
when
look at the
cameras were
size of that camera in the
heavy.
background,
I
boy.
saw that.
You had to be a man and a half to carry one of those around all day.
Jeez.
To
And
do.
that sucker's
Imagine.
tethered to something. There's wires coming out of there.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Let's look at some more pictures now, though.
You definitely paved the way, and I'll tell you,
Because-
just doing what you love to do is so important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Where was this taken?
That was 2004. That's my chopper. That was on the cover of Easy Riders. That picture was for me. That picture did not appear in Easy Riders.
Gotcha.
But
Weren't you
That
the first
was,
woman rider on a cover of Easy Riders magazine with your own bike?
yeah,
Okay.
that was pretty crazy. This is 1979. That's the first bike tank that I actually finished. Right there.
Oh,
Some airbrush, huh? Cool.
Now, did you know airbrush from when you were in Parsons, or is that something you learned yourself after?
My dad had bought me an airbrush while I was at Parsons. And so I started using it in some of my projects there. So it was just a little Pache single action airbrush. It wasn't anything, was nothing special, but
I must say
it
that
did the
must have
job.
been tough. I know your dad needed help, but it's just a tough story to hear that you're in Parsons for a year in New York. I mean, what was that year like? It must have been pretty eye-opening for you. And then to have to leave after a year to go home. A little
Oh,
tough.
Parsons was amazing. And I was just really coming into my own there. And the thing that kills me is then the year would have been my sophomore year was when Tim Gunn from Project Runway took over as dean of the school. And I was like always getting in trouble. So I was like always getting called into the dean's office. So I probably would have gotten to know Tim Gunn pretty well. So, and New York at the time was such a, I mean, you guys know a lot about the art of the early 80s. It was such a hotbed for art. And to miss out on that, it's something that I try not to think about it.
Yeah, but your dad needed you. So, you know, I would have done the same thing. Any of us would have, you know, family's family, right?
Oh yeah.
And look at you you still have a great career. I mean, you've done how many, like talk about your books. I mean, we haven't gotten to that. You're working on your 8th book.
Well, look at
I'm
this working on
my 8th
cars.
book.
Yeah. My gosh.
And you're plasma cutting here, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm taking the quarter panel off a 69 Camaro. That was 2019. Yeah, I replaced, that was a client's project. I replaced probably just about every piece of sheet metal on that car.
Wow. Did we see shot number 8, the black and white? Was that shown already? Because I love the shot.
Yeah.
That's an interesting shot because I'm pulling the motor out of I'm putting the motor back in. The car's already painted. I'm putting the motor back in. That's a 68 Cougar GT Eliminator 427. That's 1982.
Yeah.
And I see some big hair there too, right?
Yeah, I had a little Mustang restoration shop in the north end of Hartford.
Wow.
Where we restored
so
Mustangs.
Cool. And then we got more gas tanks. Let's roll through a number of these here.
Yeah, nice.
I guess you have a title, something to do with flames, don't you?
Yeah, it was a cover of one of the magazines that called me the Queen of Flames. So
Motorcycle
that
Product
was pretty
News,
cool.
That's right.
That you're on
Motorcycle
the cover
Product
of,
News.
Yeah. There's the one that
Stevie
tell
Ray
us about
Vaughan.
this. Yeah, tell us about this.
This is a cool paint job. When I you ask me about discrimination from being a woman, when I came up to North Carolina, I just kind of figured, I'm not going to have any problem making it here. And I had a husband, and we were moving up from Florida. And so there was this, the motorcycle superstores were getting started up. And there was this new motorcycle superstore that was starting up in Charlotte called Cycle Sorcery. And so I was supposed to be the head of the paint department there. So we had already bought a house. A lot of our stuff was already moved up there. And about 2 weeks before we would finish our move, they had a meeting of the department heads. And my husband, Jim, was going to be head of bike building. I'd be head of the paint department and so on. So I'm sitting there in the room in the meeting, and the new president of the company says, wouldn't you be more comfortable in the room next door with all the wives? I was like, well, I'm a department
Where's
head.
the shotgun? Where's the shotgun?
And
sound effects. There it is. Sorry. Sound effects.
Oh. So anyhow, they were like, no, you have a husband to provide for you. We can't we can't take the food off the table of a hardworking male painter. So, I just got up and went in the other room. And in the first 2 years I was in Charlotte, I did 6 paint jobs. And then the 1998 Easy Rider show happened. And those 6 bikes took
in
the
Charlotte,
top 6
right?
awards in Charlotte. Yep. And you were there. And took best of show, 2 first places, 2 second places, and a 3rd place. And one of the editors, Paul Garson, said to me, if you come to Columbus to the finals and you do good, we'll do an article on you. And so I the next day was a Monday, and I get a call from a guy with a 52 panhead, and he goes, would you paint Stevie Ray Vaughan on my bike tanks for me? And I said, sure. And he was willing, after I was done, he was willing to take the bike up to Columbus, and it took a 2nd place best of show. And you, Michael, shot that bike.
There you go. Shot it in the studio there in Columbus.
Well,
That's
Yep.
right.
the detail on the guitar is fabulous too. Wow.
You know,
Nice
we
job.
should probably take a break, but because we got another guest to bring on, I do want to mention that our comment about the Matchbox cars really brought up some hot debate here, because Mike Draco is saying Matchbox and Hot Wheels, and then Walter Bednarski said he loves Matchbox too. Nancy Weems, she has Hot Wheels, and Draco said, what about Tonka trucks, and kind of went on and on. But for me, it was Matchbox all the way. And then Marilyn Stemp did make a few comments. One was that the big hair is awesome, and she said, just saying, I didn't need to iron mine. That's what Marilyn's comment was. And Ken Daniel described you as an uncommonly nice artist, which is very sweet. And then when we get back, you're going to have to tell us about the beer run on your shovel at the Smokeout with Marilyn.
There you
That
go.
chopper that you saw me on, that's
then,
the bike from that story.
Lastly, another one from Marjorie Kleiman chimed in, saying when she was in high school, girls couldn't take shop or drafting or anything like that. We had to take home ec or typing or stenography instead.
Oh, so, terrible.
I'm telling you, you plowed that road with one big plow. You really did.
That's right. That's
But it wasn't
awesome.
like I was trying to plow. I was just there doing stuff.
She was being herself. Well, let's take a short break. Don't forget to hit your like and share button. And then we're going to take a break. We're going to come back with our next guest, Christina Platis, and she's awesome too. And we'll be right back.
Great.
The Fueling name has been associated with racing and high-performance engines since 1974, when founder Jim Fueling started fueling the flames. From Daytona to Monaco, from the Bonneville Salt Flats to the Indy 500. Fueling is here to compete. Look for the Flying Pig to run up front this year with pilot Ben Bosman. Fueling. No bullshit, just performance.
Ever since I was younger than Gavin, I knew that I wanted to ride. I'd see a group of bikes going down the highway with all their gear packed on, and I just thought that I definitely want to do that. That's what I want to do. My current bike is a 2016 Harley-Davidson Road Glide Ultra. I think it would be awesome when he's old enough to ride, you know. I'd love to be able to go riding with him. He won't want to ride on the back forever. We just did an exhaust swap, well, slip-on exhaust swap
My favorite part is when like screwed both out, took them out. He did a test sound before that, and when it was all out, it was louder than it was before.
Oh, because we pulled the baffles out, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yep. I want to take people with me in my travels and stuff and show them the Midwest. Not just for the Midwest, but just to encourage people to get out there and explore. I'm Andrew, this is my son Gavin, and we are a Dennis Kirk family.
I love that little kid. Oh my God, his little voice.
Boy, those are some good promos there. For one,
Oh.
that new one from Cycle Source promoting the Sturgis movie coming out on July 1st. They did a great job on that.
Yeah. Good
Excellent. And then the
Yep.
fueling,
Mhm.
nicely done as well. And Dennis Kirk. Thank you very
Yes.
much, guys.
Yep.
And we're back. And thanks to you regulars at Marjorie Klein and Steve Broyles, we got a bunch of you lined up here. Rob Nussbaum, of course, Walter
Yep.
Bednarski. We have
Lori De Silva. Hi, Lori. Hi,
Lori's
Holly. Yep,
Keep
Nancy
going.
Reams always.
And I know Walt, I saw him somewhere, Walt Lumpkin, saying that he was barefoot weather in Georgia. How could you do that when people are freezing in Texas? And
Hey,
I do hope
Texas
our
isn't-
freezing
isn't
friends in
freezing.
Texas are starting to warm up a little bit.
They are. My
mean-
cousin lives in San Antonio. She said she had her air conditioner on today. Bizarre.
Wow. That's a change. Holy
Yeah.
crap.
So,
Wow.
mhm.
Well, let's bring JoAnn back, and then we'll
Okay.
bring our second guest right back too.
Christina.
Yeah. Let's JoAnn's coming on, and
All right.
I think she's
Yeah,
coming on. There she
JoAnn.
is.
She
All right.
is. People are loving you. I'm telling you, you got such good comments here.
A lot of
you know?
messages. Yeah.
Yeah, you're rocking it. Awesome.
Let's roll through the last few of your paint jobs here, and then
Yeah.
we'll bring Tina on. Got some beautiful work. Any idea how many how many actual graphics you've painted on gas tanks, do you think?
I tried counting in 2019. It was 40 years of doing this. And I tried counting, and I think I got up to like 200 and 300. I started getting bored, but I've
Wow.
never really counted. So I don't really know.
Oh, look at that. There's our dolly. No,
That is
Salvador
one of my
Dali?
favorite
Yeah.
paintings I've ever done right there.
Yeah.
Love
We didn't
that
get
one.
to talk about your books, but real quick,
Melting
you're
Clock.
working on your 8th book, right?
Eighth book. It's
Okay.
all about painting graphics and flames on cars and motorcycles. It'll be out later this
Right.
year from
That's
Motor
good.
Books.
Judy Dugan wrote that you're great, and she's bought some of your books. So I'm sure a number of our guests have, and a number of them probably will after this
No,
show. And
there's
here
the-
we are at the Today
Chopper
Show,
Chicks.
right?
Yeah, that was the Chopper Chick crew. We put a bike together live on the Today Show in
Mhm.
2007, right there in Rockefeller Plaza. That
That's
was a
chicky.
wild experience.
Is that with Gypsy and Athena Ramsey? And Chicky Athena
That's
Ramsey?
Gypsy, and there's
Right.
Athena,
Yeah.
Chicky.
Very
Um,
cool.
You're awesome. Oh my gosh.
Well, you've got so much experience, and I think this really
Yeah.
shows some of your accomplishments, how much you've accomplished. But I think on that note, we should bring in Christina Platis, who's much more of a newcomer to the field, and I think there's a lot to talk about here. But let's bring her on and look at some of what Tina's done. Hey,
Hi.
Tina.
How are
How you
you?
doing?
Good
Great.
to see
Good.
you. Well, I
From-
must say it was such a pleasure to meet you. I know that we met
Mhm.
virtually at first in 2017, and then you came to the exhibition in Sturgis, where you had painted a gas tank for the show, and it was for the Millennial Show, which you fit into perfectly. And you seemed to really enjoy yourself there. But you were a great spirit and a great energy at that show, and I think that shows in your work as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was a good time out in Sturgis. It was my first time showing a helmet, and met a lot of really awesome builders, painters, a lot of people I'm still talking to and getting tips from. So yeah, it's been a good experience.
And
So
again, your background is in art. You went to art school also?
that's truly her background right
Yeah.
behind her, right?
Right.
Yeah, drawing and painting. I went to Long Beach State and I studied studio art, got my my bachelor's in drawing and painting. And then once I finished school, I started my tattoo apprenticeship.
And then your
Which is
dad,
what I
you
do
worked
now.
on cars with your dad. Your dad was also got you into bikes and cars, correct?
Oh yeah, growing up, I can remember
Right.
just being in the garage with him, helping him out. So it was a big influence for sure.
When you
That's
were in
awesome.
art school, did you think that maybe you'd go into fine art, or did you always think you'd somehow end up around motorcycles and tattooing?
Good question.
Was there a
No, I
brief period that
never.
you?
Mhm.
No, I never actually thought I would be a fine artist. Even in school, I just kind of felt a little out of place. It didn't really feel like I would see my work in a gallery, more like graphics, t-shirts. I grew up in San Diego, so, you know, a lot of focus on the action sports industry. And yeah, once it changed and once I started tattooing, that's when I got into motorcycles and doing some custom paint.
And you're friends
Wow.
with Anya from Babes Right Out? Is that got you
Yeah,
into bikes?
yeah, I met Anya
Mhm.
in Long Beach. We've been friends for quite a long time, and she was the one who really inspired me to start writing. And she was the first one to ask me to paint her helmet, and that's where it all started from there. And I've been super involved with Babes Right Out, doing helmets and tanks for their raffle. And yeah, she's been a super supportive friend throughout the process.
I tell you, this painting helmet thing is so cool. How about it, Mike? I mean, you said you had a couple. I have just like a plain black, boring helmet. I got to get some paint on my helmets. You know,
I forgot to wear mine.
Show
I
some
needed to wear it
pictures.
tonight.
I know. I wanted to see your paintings.
Let's bring up some pictures of
Yeah.
Tina here. That first shot I took back in 2017 when we met, proudly displaying her helmet that she did for the show.
That's really
And
nice.
and this next shot, I believe you're sitting on a bike that you painted the tank of yourself, right?
Yes. Yep.
Now, are you doing the
That
base
one.
paint also, or just the flames on that?
I did the base paint on that as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow. And then we have a few of your samples of your artwork as well coming up here. Is this pen and ink, this first one?
Beautiful.
Or is that pencil maybe?
That's just all pen.
Pen and ink, yeah.
Nice.
Very cool. I love this next one. I think is beautiful because it's really ties your tattooing to your art to your helmet painting all in one.
It's a little retro too.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that one's a watercolor painting I did. It's hanging in the tattoo shop, I believe. So yeah, that was a fun one. I still haven't tattooed that, but it's up for grabs if anybody wants that one.
Now, are there prints of this, or is that just the original then?
That one's the original, but I do have prints of that. I saw that on
we
my
may
website.
talk after the show. I love that.
There you go, Mike. Your first tattoo. Come on now.
That's right. Very cool.
Yeah, I love your work. And you're in Portland. We should say that Historic Tattoo is the name of the shop, which is right around the corner of my daughter.
Yeah.
I think I've driven by it a million times, and really cool place. It sounds like you're one of one or two women in the shop. Is that what you were telling us?
No, I'm the only woman in that
You're
shop.
the only
at the
woman in the
moment,
shop.
yeah.
Okay, well that's okay.
Oh yeah, I'm used to that.
Yeah.
And then the next image is some of your flash. Have you done a lot of flash work?
That's neat.
Yeah, so you know, flash is something that we hang in the shop, and I try to incorporate things that I enjoy doing and want to see, and yeah, so that's some stuff that's hanging in the shop and available tattoo designs, and yeah, it's really meant for making tattoos and things that are ready to go for people when they come in.
Mike, there's your perfect mountain scene for you right there.
There you go. Yeah, I'm curious that sometimes you see flash that looks like it's passed around and others is very proprietary, which is what yours seems. Do other artists ever ask to use your flash in their tattooing, or is that never done? Is that taboo?
Yeah, no, that can be done for sure. Flash is meant to be reproduced, so a lot of the times we'll tattoo other people's designs. If it's a custom tattoo, that's one thing where we'd want to redraw it and make sure that somebody's not getting something exactly like somebody else's custom tattoo. But as far as Flash goes, yeah, that's up for grabs.
Wow.
We have a question from Rob Nussbaum. He would like to know, what is your favorite medium to work in?
Well, at the moment, probably one shot. I mean, that's what I do on all my helmets. And I've done some one shot on different tanks. So that, and then I would say watercolor when it comes to tattooing and tattoo flash.
Wow, that's really cool. Is this next picture of you, is this your bike? Well, you said you have a Sportster, right?
Yeah, let's see.
Riding down the road.
It's a red.
Yeah, that was before I painted it. That was out at Babes Ride Out. Savannah took that photo.
So you have a Sportster, and I think you said you had another bike too. You have two bikes?
Yep. I've got a 94 White Glide.
Oh, cool. Which one do you like to ride more? The Dyna?
I've ridden the Sportster more. I've had it longer. The
Yeah.
Dyna I just got this last summer, and my plan was to chop up the Sporty and hardtail it, but I ended up moving, and that kind of got in the way of my winter project here. But that's still the plan, and I'd like to repaint my bike and then have the Dyna for longer trips.
Right, good idea. Hey, your helmets are just beautiful. I mean, I'm looking at these shots coming up here, just really pretty, really nice.
Thank you.
That was the one for the Millennial Show. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I think
You definitely have a clear style and a contemporary style.
And your
Yeah,
colors
it's
are
definitely
just
really nice.
influenced by my tattoo work. Yeah.
Yeah, and this next shot, a gas tank, which kind of brings up that really all this work that we're looking at seems to represent about 10 years. Is that correct? What
just
year did you
about.
start?
I've been tattooing 9 years now.
So even less. So in that short time, you became a tattoo artist. You do your art and your flash, your paintings. You started painting helmets and gas tanks, and you started writing in that period too, I believe, after you started tattooing. Is that right?
Yes.
And what made you want to ride?
Friends. Yeah. Anya was a big influence. Savannah, people coming into the tattoo shop, guys that I worked with. There were just a lot of motorcycles around, and it was when Anya started Babes Ride Out that I was really intrigued by it, and I was like, I wanted to attend the first year, but I didn't have a bike at that point, and so I made it a goal to have one and ride out for the second year, which I ended up doing, and rode out with Savannah. She was one of my first friends that I rode with. So yeah, once I was out there, they incorporate all kinds of stuff. They do tattooing at the event, and they do a raffle every year, and they showcase different artists. So I've been involved with them, and yeah, I would say that was a big push.
Savannah's on right now. She just made a comment. I remember when Christina started riding and painting helmets. Savannah, hey, how you doing?
Hey, Savannah, we have a great shot. Unfortunately, it's not in tonight. We had so many photos, but I have some wonderful photos of you and Tina in the studio. But, maybe I think we should go ahead and bring JoAnn back on, because there's some interesting contrasts that I think are going to come up between when JoAnn started her career and Tina starting hers 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get JoAnn back on.
So many changes in just the way that people do business. Like we were talking, earlier about, the internet came around and got really popular. And I hope JoAnn comes back in. I hope she's still here.
I'm here.
She better. There she is. All right.
Yeah, because it was mostly like word of mouth, right, JoAnn? I mean, how you got jobs. It wasn't like you posted something on Instagram and then you got everybody wanting to know about your shop.
Oh. No, back in the 80s, the 90s, people heard of me from going to shops, and they didn't meet me at the shop. There was at one point where they would have to meet me in a commuter parking lot, hand me their bike parts, hand me some money, and then trust I'm going to do their job and bring it back to them. And but most of my work came from it came through bike shops, you know. But
Right.
and the
internet.
interesting thing now is most of the work that I do now is local. I have some out of state clients, but I'd have to say 75% of the people, they're local, and they find me through the internet still.
So
But
your
local,
website-
that's interesting because the internet could bring it from anywhere. How about you, Tina? How far away does your work come from, or is it also more local?
When I was in Southern California, a lot of it was local.
Mhm.
Now that I'm in Portland and moved, I would say a lot of it is outsourced. People will send me their helmets, or yeah, I tend to send off quite a few helmets, not as much local stuff.
That's interesting. I think maybe that's a generational thing also, just how we do business. Like JoAnn said, she'd meet
Yeah.
people in the parking lot and pass things off. And now things
Yeah.
are done with FedEx and internet. And I
Mhm.
presume your biggest marketing is probably Instagram. Is that true or not for
Yeah,
Tina?
absolutely. Yep.
And then we
Yeah,
started,
Instagram is where I showcase most of my helmets and my tattoos, and it's super popular for tattooers to use that platform. So yeah, most people will find me on there.
I think I saw you at the one show. I think events are still, like Michael's event with the helmets and the art. And then the one
And same at the
show.
one show also.
Right.
We should let our viewers know that
Cool show.
Tina and JoAnn are meeting for the first time right now, which I think is kind of interesting. I'm kind of curious if either of you have questions for the other, because I think there's such fascinating parallels and differences between your careers. Of course, Tina being at the very early part of hers, and JoAnn, you being so experienced with so many years and all your books out. So do
Yeah.
either of you have questions for the other? And
Put
that
'em
could
on
be
the spot.
technical or otherwise.
Oh man, I have so many technical questions, but I don't think we have time for that.
Well, ask a couple, because I'm kind of curious what kind of technical questions you have.
Yeah,
Oh
let
man.
me. Yeah, sure, shoot.
Shoot.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I would say, were you focused more on, creating a certain style or keeping within certain themes like during the time, or was it more custom work where people would come to you with a certain idea and then you just execute it?
It's the second one. People would bring me they'd bring me something and they'd want me to do it exactly the way it was. And I would my goal was to try to produce the best quality I could, like really tight lines, the air, I don't like fuzzy airbrushing. I like things that are nice and crisp and clean. And I don't know, there's just, and exactly what I'm going to say next, in that, the days that you're on and you just look at the stuff that's coming out of your hands and you're like, wow, that is so perfect. And then there's other days where you just struggle. And when you're like a non-starving artist and you're trying to make a living, it's basically you're producing. You're just trying to do the best work you can every day and make your clients happy. And if I had a certain style, it would be my flames. That's probably something. Everybody does flames differently, and I think my flames look different than everybody else's.
That brings up a question that I have for Tina then. So do people come to you and say they want something particular, or do they just say, I like, because your style is very unique, and do they say, no, I love your style, just do anything you want? Or do they say, well, I want this on it in your style? How do they approach you with that?
I'd say it's a combination of both. Certain times people want something really specific, whether it's a name and a certain design, and then other times they'll say, these are a few ideas I've been thinking about, and then they'll kind of let me have some creative freedom within that. And yeah, I definitely have more fun when I have some freedom to do something within my style. But I would say it's about 50-50. I'm kind of
nice.
trying to do more of the things that I enjoy doing and putting that out there, because there was a minute where I was getting a lot of very specific requests, which, you know, it kind of pigeonholes you as far as what you can put out there. So yeah, I would say both I get requests for.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
I-
your
I
lines
have
are
a- I have a-
beautiful, beautiful lines. Those
How about
tattoos.
you have another question? That was a good one.
I've got a
Tina.
question for Tina.
Yeah.
When you were in college, did you see yourself where you are now? Did you see yourself painting helmets, riding motorcycles, doing tattoos?
I saw myself doing tattoos. Yeah, I had a feeling that it would be something, you know, it was something I always wanted to do. And then once I finished school, I knew that fine art wasn't the direction I really wanted to go. So tattooing for sure. I would say painting helmets, not as much. But it all kind of came together and makes a lot of sense now. So yeah, at that time, the motorcycles and the helmets weren't really a thing. And it wasn't until I was approached by some friends and, you know, they asked me to paint their helmet. So
Somebody wants to know what your favorite design is. I'm not sure who they're asking that to, but maybe it's for Christina. I don't know. Or JoAnn, whoever wants to
Ask
answer
both
it.
of them.
Yeah. Favorite design that you ever painted or tattooed.
Well, you guys showed it, the Salvador Dali reproduction that I did on that sports
The
tank.
melting clock.
That is beautiful. Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Was that an idea somebody approached you with, or is that something you just did?
Yeah, she had a very distinct vision for what she wanted on this bike. Her name is Paula. She's former military, and the bike is all about how time is so fleeting, how time flies.
Oh, that's
But
great.
that was exactly what she wanted, and it's the oil tank, the side covers, the fenders, the other side of the tank. It's all along that theme.
Wow.
Oh. How about you, Tina? What do you got? What's your favorite design? Do we have a picture of
favorite
it,
design. Yeah, I mean, I really like my bike, but I would say for a helmet, probably that dragon that you guys have a photo of. It's funny, I kind of struggled with that one, but eventually once it came out, I was pretty happy with the end result. So that one was for a Babes
That's
Ride Out
cool.
raffle one year.
That's
really
very cool.
Yeah.
And somebody wants to know what year your Sportster is. I think it's a 97, isn't it what you told us?
Yep, 97.
Okay, there you go. That answer our questions. David Crum said, I still need some Von Dutch flying eyeball artwork.
Have
I'm
either of
pretty
you
sure
done
somebody
that?
could do that for you. Yeah.
Have either of you or both of you done Von Dutch eyeballs?
I
I've
haven't done one
tattooed
yet.
them.
Either. Okay, well, another challenge. Now, have you either of you thought that maybe you could just do 10 helmets yourself and put it out there, like just do things that you want to do, put it out on Instagram or Facebook and see if they sell? Or is that too risky? I mean, obviously there's an investment, you have to buy the helmets and there's sizing issues, things like that. But then, you could always do that, put it out, and then somebody could say, well, I want that in a different type of helmet. Or is that too weird to do? Or what do you think? The persistence of memory. Very good.
That's cool.
Chris
name.
Callan's sharp on that one.
Really
Yeah.
cool name.
I would say
Is
that,
that-
yeah, that's something that I've been trying to focus on, is producing work and then putting it out there for people to purchase. But yeah, with helmets, it is hard because sizing is an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. What was
But
your first bike that you ever owned? I'm just looking at questions, Mike. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, please do.
Yeah. What was your first bike you ever owned? I think, JoAnn, you told us your first bike was a Triumph, right?
It was a Triumph.
Right.
A Triumph Trophy 500. It was a 66.
Yeah.
But my first Harley, I still have my first Harley, an 89 Sportster 1200. That was my first Harley, and it's still my main riding bike.
Which is, I think, the
So-
last photo that we have from you is riding that bike, isn't it? It's a great shot of you riding that bike.
What, on the Dragon's Tail, maybe?
Possibly. We'll see if Chris
right.
can,
Because you're in
Chris
North
Callan can find
Carolina.
out.
That's right.
Oh, I love the Dragon's Tail, and that bike is so set up for exactly that kind of riding. It's got quarter-mile gears in it. It's got cams. It's just a little rocket on those roads. That thing goes to switchbacks like nobody's business. Oh, that thing is so fun to ride.
That is beautiful.
But
Great
yeah,
bike, Gregory Schneider says. Right on. Yeah, those bikes are meant for that kind of riding. Definitely for the twisties, you know.
Yeah, I haven't ridden the Dragon's Tail in a few years, and I think Marilyn Elmore and I are talking about doing the Dragon's Tail this summer, and I probably won't be that aggressive on it anymore. I'm not going to push it.
You're like me. I cruise through those, you know.
Yep.
Oh,
I'm
I
ready
love
for
those.
cruising days.
Chris Callan, it's time for us to go back, isn't it? Chris and I did.
Can I get an amen?
Chris said he rode the dragon with you. She's no joke.
Very cool.
Awesome.
So, Tina, what are some other questions you have? I mean, this is the woman that wrote the book on painting.
Several books.
8 books.
She's on her 8th
You
book,
must have some more questions.
Well, I don't know. There's probably too many to ask or to get into, but
I have a question. Do I count? I have a question for both of you, actually. Okay, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Christina, you go first, or Tina, go first. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? It's a
probably doing
question.
the same thing I'm doing now, tattooing. Yeah, I plan on staying here in Portland, and I hope to grow my painting business. One of my goals for moving up here was to expand and try and do some more, full bikes or tins. So yeah, I'd like to try and expand that.
Very cool.
Great. I'm going to come and visit you when I go see my daughter. Is that okay?
Please do.
Come in there and see you. JoAnn, okay, we talked about, sorry, Mike. JoAnn has to answer.
I'm curious if, Tina, obviously you grew up probably with a smartphone in your hand practically. But JoAnn, this is new stuff for you and for Chris and myself. So how have you adopted to the new ways of doing marketing and business? I know you said that most of your work comes on the internet, and I know you have a website that you promote. Has a lot of that shifted to social media or Instagram at this point, or still more website based?
It's really hard to say. I think I get some. I need to learn more about effective social media marketing, because the majority of my business still comes from, like, people do a Google search and it'll come up, and it's amazing. I probably get most of my business from Google searches, because people will call me up, the phone number will come up and they'll ask me, do you have a website? And they'll just see the pictures on my Google business ad. And that's where I'm probably getting maybe 60% of my work these days comes from that, because I'm really surprised. I would think more people would have, just click on the button and look at the website, but they don't.
Yeah, websites traditionally aren't getting the traffic that they did before Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff for some reason, but yeah.
And then on the other side, for Tina, a lot of people your age are doing everything through Instagram, yet you have a great looking website. So what made you decide to do a website? Because I think that's not as normal for your age group. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think having a website is essential, but Instagram is really where most people will see my work. I always ask people when they come in and get tattooed, how they found me. And a lot of the times it's through my helmets. A lot of the times it's through Instagram. And, it's definitely, I started my website probably when I wanted to do booking for my tattoo appointments, but I also wanted to showcase my helmets on there as well and kind of have it as a portfolio that people can access. A lot of people also don't have Instagram. So You need to have both, in my opinion.
Right.
So yeah.
Somebody else asked a question. Why did Tina move to Portland?
Because I wasn't having enough rain in Southern
'Cause
California.
what a great place,
I didn't want to
right?
ride my motorcycle as much.
Yeah. To get out of LA, right? Were you in LA or Long Beach?
Yeah.
Is that where you were? Yeah, Southern California.
Yeah, I was in
Right.
Long Beach. I love Long Beach, but I was ready for a change. I grew up in Southern California, and while it's great, I wanted to try something different and wanted to stay on the West Coast.
Right. Portland has such a great vibe to it, and there's so much to do there. There's so many 20 minutes you could be on the mountains and hiking, and there's such great
beautiful.
food, and yeah, it's a cool place.
Another change that we talked about in pre-show is that sort of a generational shift as well. Like for me, I've done my photography my whole life now. Yes, I'm delving into podcasting, and I'm a curator for exhibitions, things like that. But really, I'm a photographer. But and JoAnn being a painter, and that's what she's known for and has done for many years now. But now with Tina, you seem to have your revenue source come through multiple channels now. You have your artwork, and you have your tattooing, and you have your tanks, and I could see each of those being developed. But what's kind of nice is that you have this flexibility to turn things up and down as needed. Like there may be more call for gas tanks. All of a sudden you may get flooded with that, or helmets, and who knows, full paint jobs, or maybe your artwork and your canvases and prints take off, and you always have your tattoo to fall back on. Can you talk about that a little bit? Is that something you see as being more common with your friends, that they do have less of a formal, strict 9-to-5 job and multiple ways of earning their livings?
Sure. Yeah. I would say that being a tattoo artist, it's unique to that. There's sometimes a slow season, and in the wintertime, sometimes tattoo shops can get slow. So you paint, and naturally you're just around painting, doing other types of art. So painting helmets was something that filled that void whenever I didn't have all of my time dedicated to tattooing. And then, recently within this last year, surprisingly, even with COVID, tattooing's been crazy busy. So I haven't been painting as many helmets as I have in the past. And so there's always kind of a fluctuation, but I do have multiple things that I rely on as far as income goes. Tattooing being my primary source of income and my focus, I look at painting helmets as more of a recreational thing, but also, something that I can make income from if I have to.
It's interesting to me that they tie together very well. Like if you, there's a picture of you awarding a helmet that somebody won. I don't know if it was a sweepstakes or whatever it was at Babes Ride Out, a gas tank that you'd painted. And you could do that with helmets too, but it sort of keeps you out in the community. It keeps your name out there. And then people go, wow, if you do this, I want to see your tattoos also. Or they check your website, and they seem to tie together very well. Now, I know, JoAnn, you'd mentioned that you'd like to get back to painting. So maybe that's not dissimilar. It's just taken our age group a little bit longer to get back to this and say, what is it we want to do?
That's what the 5-year question is. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, and you'd mentioned painting again.
Yeah.
Well, there's one thing that happens, you're so busy earning a living and trying to get work done that you just kind of lose track. And then next thing you know, you're 60 years old and you're saying, what do I want to do?
When you grow up,
what do I want to do that
I'm still doing that.
Get a chance to do, And the thing that I have not really gotten a chance to do is to really get back into my first love, which is my fine art. I love crafting things. I definitely want to get back into my fine art, do some paintings. I also, and that brings my fabrication experience in it. I would love to build furniture, as unusual as that sounds. I've been
out of metal furniture.
No, actually wood, epoxy, raw edge furniture.
Oh,
I've been
I love
studying
that.
on it and doing research and buying materials and tools. And so 5 years from now, hopefully I'll be, I'll still be doing some paintings here and there, a few paint jobs, making some furniture, hopefully still writing articles, writing books, and I want
going
to spend
to
a lot more
Alaska.
time riding my motorcycles. That's
Yeah,
what I
like we
really
talked
want
about
to
that. You
do.
said you want to go to Alaska, right? It's on your
Yes.
list.
Yep.
Cool. Oh, look at that stuff. That live edge stuff is killer. Yeah, I
love
love
that.
It's
that.
beautiful. Oh my gosh,
Really neat.
I want to
There's
do
so much
that.
about that.
We had to
Yeah.
cut down a black walnut, and it was
Mm.
like 80 years old and huge diameter. And we left all that rough cut. I had it all milled. So we had 800 board feet of wood drying out. I
Oh,
think we're going to
Oh
start doing
man,
something with. Yeah.
There you
what are you
go.
going to do
I'm
with
so,
that?
I'm so
That's awesome.
jealous.
Man. We have one more question for Christina. Where do you paint? Do you have a shop? Do you paint out of? Where do you paint? Do your
I just paint
painting?
out of my house. Yeah, I don't
You
have a
do?
shop that I go to because I don't do like full custom
Right.
paint jobs.
Right.
Most of my stuff is just paint and brush, so that's something I can do at home or the tattoo shop.
Anyone
Wow.
said ever do leather, like paint on leather? Holly, I'm not sure what she means by that, but leather. Yeah, that's a whole other thing, doing leather work.
I've tattooed leather.
Tattoo leather. There you go.
Really?
I've done that. Yeah, I've done, you can do leather burning, and I've messed with that a little bit. And yeah, tattooing leather was something fun. I made like little leather patches and stuff.
Neat idea. I love that.
Wow.
Well, I'm so glad you two got to meet, kind of, with their Zoom thing going
Me
on here.
too. Hopefully we can.
Love doing that. Bring
Thank
people
you.
together.
I wouldn't
Mike's
mind
got a
asking
lot of
one more
fun.
question.
Mike still
Always-
has questions. I can tell
I
he's
always have questions, but the show is obviously we're focused on women and women that have
Right.
achieved many things, and creative women and inspiring women. But both of you with your careers, I think, and we discussed this before too, that you are the minority in there that as women. So both in the tattoo shop, in the paint field, in the car shop, in all these things, you are the minority, and it's changing. So how much has that changed? So we could start with JoAnn to say where it was. I don't know if it's changed all that much, but let's put it out there, and then we can see where Tina takes it.
Well, when I started painting bikes, 1979, there were no women that I know of. I mean, you looked in the magazines, women were not building cars, women were not doing any kind of technical thing on motorcycles. They were posing on motorcycles. And nowadays, as time went on, I started seeing in the 1990s, there were more women painters. Mike, you must know Dawn Holmes. You must have photographed her work. She's an amazing painter. Did a lot of work for Paul Yaffe. And it's more and more women painting, but I'd probably have to guess that I would say there's a lot of women that work, a lot more women work in collision now, but as far as custom painting, maybe 10%, maybe 15, no more than 15.
Well, it's a lot more than one.
Yeah,
when you
I was going
started.
to say,
So that has grown a lot.
definitely growing. Yeah. For sure.
And then Tina, you deal with that in tattooing, but I don't know, maybe that doesn't bother you. Maybe you think it's just fine and normal, or would you like to see more women in the field?
Oh, I love seeing more women in the field. Yeah. Especially working just personally, for my own career, being around more women, it's a different environment, and we like to support each other and build each other up. So I think that's something pretty special about it. And there's definitely more and more tattooers, women tattooers nowadays. I actually asked one of my coworkers the other day, since you brought up that question, Michael, you said how many tattooers were women back in the 70s, and they said maybe 1%. And I would think now, I would like to think maybe 15-20% are women. So it's grown quite a bit.
And did you ever work in a shop where there were more women?
I worked in a shop, the last shop I worked in, Lombard Street in Portland. There was one point where I think there were like 4 or 5 women, and I was just like, wow, this is a totally different environment, and it's just really fun. Even if there's less tattooers who are women, it's really cool. Any days that I look around and I see just all women getting tattooed, I always think that's really cool.
That's cool.
I wonder if if you go to a shop when you had 4 women in the shop tattooing, how many tattoo artists were there in that shop?
Oh, JoAnn's books. Crazy.
I want to say maybe 7 or 8 of us. So,
So
it was close to half
about
of
half.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that has a different vibe than if you go into a shop that's all male.
It does.
In term,
Yeah.
Oh, Michael, of course it does.
I'm assuming it would, but
Different conversations for sure.
Player guy. I mean, yeah, for sure. For sure, it's a different vibe. I want to say, JoAnn, your books, go back to that shot, Chris. That was, I didn't realize you had that many books. I mean,
and we need to let people know how to order these books. Can you tell us, JoAnn?
You can order them from my website. You can go to Amazon. If you go to my website, I sign them. Oh, and those are my magazine covers. There's my Easy Rider cover.
Nice. Okay, someone said, ask JoAnn about her Firebird with the flame job. And JoAnn, what is your favorite vehicle paint job?
Favorite vehicle paint job? Probably the my boyfriend's Firebird.
The Firebird, the flame job.
That's a cool paint job. It's on the Hot Rod Gallery. There it is, right there up in the corner.
Wow, that is badass.
Wow.
Very cool. You do good flames, I have to say.
Oh, I've had a lot of adventures, a lot of painting adventures, and people are always asking me, like, you know, the thing I like best about what I do, and I'd have to say it's the people I meet. I mean, some of the clients that I meet they're such characters. Some of them are, you walk away and they come to you a client, they walk away a friend. People like you and Michael, Marjorie, Marilyn.
Yeah.
They're just the most amazing people you'd ever want to meet. And that, for me, that's the best part of what I do.
That's so cool. Wow.
Do either of you have any rides planned?
Not really.
JoAnn does.
Dragon's Tail, yeah.
How about on the other side of all this, when we get out of COVID, Tina, is there any place you'd like to ride to?
Yeah, I want to go down to Southern California. I usually go down there multiple times a year, and I haven't gone in over a year now. So
beautiful
I want to ride
from
down
up
there, get some sun.
Do you actually do the coast ride?
Yeah, I'd like
or does
to.
It take too long?
That's
Oh,
nice.
it's worth it though.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
I remember I was in San Francisco, of course, pre-digital and all this, and I was on my 71 Shovelhead, and it was back when you had answering machines with cassettes in them. And I'm in San Francisco, and my brother didn't even know I was in California, and I called and he didn't answer. I left a message on the answering machine saying, I'm in San Francisco. I just got to do some work on the bike, and I'll see you for dinner tonight. I'm coming down. And I changed the oil, got on Highway 1 and started going and going and going. I mean,
it's a lot longer than you think.
I did not make it for dinner, I'll tell you.
That's right. It's very twisty.
A much longer ride than I ever expected.
Beautiful ride. You know, like right now you're not going to go below Big Sur because that road's gone.
Yeah,
you know,
I
but
know
up in,
that.
you know, but up north, Northern California is my favorite place to ride.
That happened to me once too. I was riding once. I was going to a photography conference, and I had a woman on the back of the bike. And I guess, I don't know what you call it, but inland from the coast, these little hills and stuff. I guess you got to go over those to get to the coast. And so we're on those last little hills. We're going to Asilomar in Monterey, I guess. And so we're going, you know, getting over to the coast road and riding along. Nobody's on the road. It's 2-lane road. And it'd been raining and roads were wet. And all of a sudden it's like, the road was gone. And I went, oh my gosh. It was like the pavement was gone. Yeah, I was like stuck in mud to the axle. It was unbelievable. The two of us. Yeah, I mean, we couldn't. Finally, a truck came along and we like just chained the thing out of there. But I mean, we were stuck. My goodness.
More comments here. Rob said, anyone ever confused JoAnn's work with Perowitz? The other flame guy.
Yeah, the other flame guy.
Yeah.
No, Dave has his own style. There is no mistaking his work for anybody else's. It's very distinctive.
And Tina Savannah says she wants to get you to ride in Nepal with her.
Oh,
go.
And Tina, I can vouch for that. That is big fun. I've done it twice now, and I loved it. I can't wait to go again.
Gosh,
it looks beautiful. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know about those roads. It looks a little
Oh, the roads
sketchy.
are great when there's roads.
Yeah. Cool.
when there's roads, he throws that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like pavement, but whatever.
Right.
All right.
Right on.
Well, it was really great talking with you both. I think it's such an interesting topic, and to see the
Yeah.
changes that has happened in your field, really, it's been very interesting.
Yeah. Thanks for
Yeah.
having us.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for having me. This has been great. Thanks.
And great reconnecting with you, JoAnn, because it has been many
Definitely.
years. And Christina, great to see you again
Same.
after just a couple of
Yeah.
years.
Same
And
here.
Absolutely.
look forward to seeing you both somewhere on the road, down the
Yep.
road.
Old friends and new friends, right? And we
Yeah.
will definitely have you both back on sometime. Let's definitely do that and see what adventures that you've gotten to.
And if people want to contact you, Tina, what's the best way? Is it through DM or how do you prefer?
Email. Yeah, you can go to my website and contact me too.
All right.
Right on. Okay.
That's great. Well, thank you very much. And JoAnn, same thing through your website.
Yep.
Contact them there.
Best way to contact me is through the website. My
Okay.
cell phone number's on the website. Just text me, send an
Awesome.
email. I'll get back to you.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you both very much for being
Yes.
on.
Thank you guys both so
Thank
much.
you.
and we hope
All
to
right.
see you again. Take care.
Bye-bye. I want to ask our viewers now,
Mm.
I'm very cautious of putting contact information out and how things work, but I think on this show, it's not like it's going to get spammed or something by a digital robot.
Mm.
So I'm going to give my email out right now because I want viewers, anyone that's watching, if they have any suggestions for people, for women with compelling stories like we've been talking with, that we have not looked at yet, or
Right.
maybe we just haven't talked about them yet, but
Oh, there's so many.
people that you'd like to see on this show, I'd love for you to
Sure.
email me at mike@lichterphoto.com. You could also do that through my website at lichterphoto.com, but the email direct is mike@lichterphoto.com. And Chris, I don't know if you want to put yours out.
And
but-
my website's right above our head here. You can email me
There you
through my
go.
website right there, and you can check out
All
my
right.
books. And then
All
you know what,
right.
Mike? I have to say this. I love having young creative people on. It just inspires me because you're a creative person. I used to do a lot of writing and drawing and other things, but being creative is so fun. And right now, it's a really good time to everybody just
It
keep
really is.
positive and create.
It makes life larger, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah,
But
it's
we'll
a
have,
way a way to really enjoy life. And I think more and more people are discovering that through, I'm not to diminish the hardships of COVID, and so many people, my goodness, we've hit the 500,000 mark now, and we've
Right.
lost a couple of family members, and so many people that have been
Mhm.
watching this show have been touched in so many different ways, not
Sure.
least of which has been financial and through a lot of hardship. But
Mhm.
through that all, I'm hoping that in some way that, having some creativity in your life in
Yeah.
whatever form that takes, I think that's a wonderful way to move forward and help get through things.
Yes, in very positive way, for
Yeah.
sure. Right on. Well, thank you again to all our sponsors. Coast to Coast, show for women in motorcycling, interesting people every week. And we hope to see you guys next week. We've got another interesting
Next
person
week
on.
with Audrey Cabral, a really
Yeah.
great guest coming on next week as well.
Hey, can I bust
Yeah.
in for 1 second, guys? I want
Definitely.
to let
Absolutely,
everybody that watches your show know that we are finally breaking ground with the whole Instagram thing for these shows. So 14 different social media channels carry the shows right now, but we've finally found a little workaround for the non-custom RTMP deal. If you're tech savvy and you know what I'm talking about, you can't do straight live to Instagram, but we found a workaround for that, and we're starting to broadcast these shows on Instagram. If that's something you're interested in,
Awesome.
send me a message on that. But it's usually the day after the show. It's like a rebroadcast, but at least it's up there for people that like to get their media, because I believe, like Tina says, people like to get their media where they like to get it, so we kind of meet them at all those places. But just a little update from the studio. I want to make sure you guys knew about that.
And what Instagram would that be on? Where would they find it?
Cycle Source right now.
Cycle Source. Awesome. Nice.
All right.
We're growing. Yay. Very cool.
All right. Well, thanks everybody It's
Yep.
been great seeing all your names. I love how people are communicating with each other as well. So it's our
Definitely.
weekly chance for Chris and I to visit and
Yes.
reconnect with guests, meet new people, and also for the viewers on the show to connect with each other. So that's really
Yep.
been a nice thing for Tuesday nights. And
That's right.
of course, we have to thank our sponsors. And don't forget tomorrow night another great show for the
Yes,
Cannonball
Cannonball.
Chronicles.
My favorite
then-
shows. Yep.
That's right.
Get
9
the-
p.m. Eastern, and then
Yep.
Sunday as well,
Mhm.
9 p.m. Eastern for Shop Talk, Cycle Source Shop Talk. Always have great guests and interesting shows there.
Right. Cannonball Chronicles tomorrow. I think Scott Jacobs and Sharon are going to be on.
Oh, great.
Wonderful people who we've had on. Sharon, right on. I know. Well, have a great week, everybody. And we will see you next week, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Be there. See you later. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.